So let's start the today's session. Okay, हमने शायद लास्ट क्लास में ये if else और nested if तक का कहा था करने को. So and chapter 2 of the Java for Dummies. Okay, so there were a lot of interesting terms in chapter 2, like JDK, SDK, then IDE, then compiler, what's compiler, what JVM, etc. etc. We will discuss everything of them. Okay, so the first part of the chapter was about how to install Java and IDE and everything. That stuff all of you might have done, I think. So there were some terms that we should know, this basic terms. First was compiler. Compiler, what does this compiler does? So when we write a code in Java, we usually do in English language, okay, and there are some syntax for that, but computer does not understand that syntax. That is for our understanding, that is for our convenience, okay. So that the code that we write in Java file, the compiler changes that file to byte file, okay, and that is for the understanding of the JVM SDK, okay, that is for the Java virtual machine to understand that what we have written code in Java, okay, that byte code, and after that JVM converts that byte file into the operating system and processor compatible files, okay. For example, let me see. For example, this is our processor. This processor has a lot of gates and gates, NOR gates. There are a lot of transistors in this, okay. And what it does, it when we write something, the processor just and the compiler first converts into a bytecode, and after that JVM converts into commands in assembly code that will be performing and or not with the numbers, everything. For example, the alphabets, numericals, every symbols has some numbers, okay, 0 1 in form of this. There are numbers, and the processor just adds, subtracts whatever it has to be done, and it gives the output to us. That's the work of the processor does not understand English, it does not understand what's in our interface, what we have written the code. That's why we need some virtual machine, some SDK for converting that user understandable code to the processor machine understandable code, and after it performs the task, it sends us back the output. That's the work of the various background things that goes into our coding, okay. So compiler just converts our Java file into byte file, okay, so that byte file is compatible everywhere, whether you take on a Linux system, Mac system, Windows system, 32-bit, 64-bit, any processor, Intel, Ryzen, M1, any processor you take on, that code will run. That's the thing of, that's the feature of Java, okay. So compiler is that virtual machine and IDE. We will discuss one by one everything. So this was the work of the compiler, to convert byte file in Java file into byte file, okay. So for example, see this one, the listing 2.1, this part has a code, a part of code written in Java, okay, and this is the instruction in English, okay. We perform this in Java with a particular syntax, okay. But what happens after you compile the Java code, it looks like this. This is byte file. When you try to run a Java file with a command prompt, okay, java file dot java, okay, then that converts into dot byte file and it will look similar to this, but we can't see through notepad or word, ms word or something. You need a special software. You can install a byte class editor, okay, java byte editor. Through that you can view this codes written in byte, okay, in the after it converts by the compiler. And when this code dot byte file is processed into any system, this is versatile, means it is portable and versatile, means you can run this byte file on any system like 32-bit, 64-bit, Windows, Mac, any system with any processor. That's the feature of Java that makes it portable and versatile. Okay, so this is the byte instruction, and this is the work of the compiler. Okay, the you all remember when you were starting with Java, there was one thing to download, JDK, Java Development Kit. What does that contain? That contains this compiler. Like we have installed Oracle JDK 11 LTS. That was the installation of compiler, and its work. You don't need an IDE for doing Java. You only need a compiler and JVM. Along with that, JVM was installed. The first part was the compiler that converted it into byte file, and after that JVM just converts into assembly code for processing by the processor. Okay, now is Java virtual machine. Java virtual machine converts that byte file into system understandable instruction. Okay, so as I told, every system has different processor and different uh, type of processes, how it will assess the instruction and how it will process it will depend with the system. Okay, for example, this is in a Pentium, Intel Pentium processor, how it converts dot byte file into assembly or the assembly code for the processor to perform its task. Okay, this is the instruction. Whereas the same code in a PowerPC processor that was by IBM looks like this. Both are different, but both will perform same task. That's the work of JVM. To convert that byte file is universal. It will be same for a code, okay, for a Java code, but JVM converts that byte file into the processor understandable instruction so that it can run on any system. Okay, so what we only do is write a Java file, compiler that we install through JDK converts into a byte file, and that dot byte file is changed by the JVM. Okay, to assembly language, to hexadecimal, whatever you say, that is for processor understandable instruction. Okay, that's the work of JVM. So after you run the code with the JVM, then you can't have the same instruction on any system. Dot byte file will be universal, but after a code is dot byte file is run by the JVM, it is not universal, because now it will convert to the processor understandable instruction, and different operating system and different processors will have different instructions. Okay, so there was one example. There is a Java source code, like you in General Assembly. There is a speaker. Okay, there is a Java source code that we have written. Compiler converts into a byte code. Okay, and this byte code is speaking something. Okay, and there are three systems: Mac, Windows, and Linux. Three representative of three systems. Okay, so what this does, this Java virtual machine does, it wait. Hmm. This Java virtual machine converts this bytecode into the processor understandable instruction. That's the work of JVM. That's the simple work of JVM. Okay, so it is universal. The code becomes universal. This bytecode can be run anywhere. That's the work of JVM. Okay. So coming, this was the work of JVM. It may first compiler makes a Java code anywhere run code, okay, and after that JVM performs its work to make it user understandable. Okay, there are some other terms that is important to know. The name JDK, Java Development Kit, and earlier it was, and in C also it's known as SDK, Software Development Kit. They what does they do? They install the compiler of the Java, okay, into your system. Like most of you have installed JDK 11. That's the version of the compiler that is for long-term support, okay, for Java. Now Java Runtime Environment, JRE, that is for Java Virtual Machine. Means after you compile the code from .java to .byte, for running it into the processor, we need a JRE. Okay. So most of the systems, most of the softwares that Oracle provide for Java, both JDK and JRE comes together in a single package, and both are installed together. Okay, but if we talk about IDEs, they just use that compiler. They just use that JVM to make our work easier. Okay, to make it more user interactive and more easier. Okay, so here's a cycle. We write a Java code. Upon command, the compiler converts into a bytecode. Then upon command, JVM runs that bytecode, and it is converted into processor understandable instruction. And after that, according to output or error, we modify the code. Okay, and this JVM converts into processor understandable language. So now comes the ID. What is the work of ID? If you don't use an ID, you use a notepad, save that code with .java and run it through the command prompt. Our work will be done. There's no need of an ID. Just it makes us more easier for us to code, more convenient with its extensions, with its features, and more user interactive interface. That was only in chapter 2. Okay, that was the summary, and that was what the author Bird shared in the chapter 2. Is there any queries regarding this chapter? So, switch for loops. I think um, and for Java coding, do it for more examples in for loop lecture 11. Okay, till lecture 11, 3 lectures in a day. Okay, lectures 11, and tomorrow we will discuss chapter 3. Okay, that is about the basic building blocks regarding the Java and how does its API, how does everything works. These are some basic topics that you should know what going on. It's like you're solving a physics numerical and you are not getting how does it work. You are just solving it. You don't know what is going on. So just understand how this code is running, how this system is working. Okay, and please read chapter 3 for tomorrow.